losing weight and you need to know what her.
I think once start the item. Can everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? We're opening the council meeting for August 15th, 2017. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
A quorum is present for the Inglewood City Council, Inglewood Successor Agency, Inglewood Housing Authority, and Inglewood Parking Authority.
Can we call the successor?
I'm sorry? Yes, sir, I did them all.
City Housing Authority or Parking Authority on any item on today's agenda may do so at this time.
We are Inglewood parents, Inglewood teachers, Inglewood students, Inglewood young professionals, Inglewood faith leaders, Inglewood homeowners and renters, Inglewood elders and youth, Inglewood business owners, community organizations, and members who all come together to mold an inclusive vision of the Inglewood's future. A vision that we feel we are currently being left out of with decisions that are being made in this room. Our vision includes current families as well as most vulnerable among us who want to at least have an opportunity to remain and benefit in our Inglewood's resurgence. We deserve the home field advantage. We are Uplift Inglewood. We want to make sure and are glad that you are considering and taking back some of the things that were being put forward as far as eminent domain is concerned. Thank you for your consideration. However, there's more that we can do because displacement is still an issue in this community. We are still dealing with people who are longstanding community members who are still not being able to stay here because rent costs are going up. There's things that we can do together, right? And so we want to make sure that these conversations are being had so that we can come together to some agreements so that we can all be a part of the vision for the future. Things like rent stabilization, things like public-private partnerships for maybe even first home buyer programs for some of the young professionals who haven't had the opportunity to actually buy homes in this community yet. There's many different things that we can do, many conversations that we can have, but we have to be open to having those conversations, and so we're in this space. Uplift Inglewood isn't going anywhere. We are still here to fight against the displacement that's happening in the city because we want to be a part of the future. We want to be a part of it, and we feel like we're not a part of it. So thank you for this forum. Thank you for the discussion, and we want to keep the discussion going forward as well. And, like I said, thank you for the item that you have in DR4 so that we can begin to draw back some of these things that are already moving forward to have a better discussion about how we can do this together. Thank you.
Parker Jr., Vietnam veteran, 66-67, conscious objector. To piggyback on the issue he spoke to, these issues affect us as Inglewood residents, whether you're permanent or renters. And what he says is very true. The reason why I can relate to this here is because I look at this and the mayor we're giving him authorization to sign contracts with agencies to work in Inglewood when all this whole thing was predicated on it was going to create jobs at all levels in the city of Inglewood. And my beef with the whole thing is, are all these agencies that you're signing off on, are they in Inglewood? Did you look in Inglewood to see if we could accommodate these different approvals you want to do these contracts? Are they outside? Because that's not creating Inglewood jobs for the city of Inglewood. Also, you're outsourcing evictions, what he spoke about, people not staying here, with an Australian immigrant that has a special a special court for evictions, and you washed your hands of, oh, we can't have it here, it's in Santa Monica. Why don't you handle your own evictions? Then you'll understand and see the problem you're causing firsthand. He throws up his hands if he can't figure out in the Constitution what he doesn't. He throws it up to what he calls Yoda. And I don't know who Yoda is. You might know it's some kind of cartoon dude. And he mentions all the agencies or different programs he's researched. But one thing he doesn't mention, and we all know this here, when it all fails, check it out in Robert's rules. He doesn't claim that. But you got these immigrants by the way, Trump just authorized 30,000 more of these Australian colony criminals
Mr.
into the
Parker,
state.
Mr. Parker, you gonna, Mr. Parker?
Can't get a job.
Mr. Parker, you're gonna
We
have to
need
stay on
know
the agenda
who
right
these people
now.
are, where they work from. Are they city people working in the city? Tell us who these people are.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, honorable council members. My name is Douglas Karstens. I'm an attorney with Chatton Brown and Karstens, and I'm here on behalf of the Inglewood residents against takings and eviction. We were here before.
Excuse me, sir, I'll give you some time. Who's the leader of that group?
I'm here to represent the
No,
group.
no, who's
I
the
mean,
leader of the group, though? You represent them. Who leads the group?
If the leader of the group would like to come up and talk, then they will. If you're asking who's in the group, you know, that's something that you need to ask people.
Secret?
If people are starting to get identified, they have some concern that the council might retribute against them.
Retribute?
So,
We might retribute
might be
against?
some retribution. Excuse me for my word choice, but I think you know
Okay.
what I mean.
So
so-
are there any Inglewood residents in this group?
Yes, why are you interrupting me? I know.
I'm
I'd
going
like
to give you time. I
ans-
just want to understand. You represented a group, and I want to make sure I know what we're talking about.
Yes, and I think when you hear more people, if you give them a chance to talk, they'll tell you that they're part of this group. So I think people in the audience, if they got notice of this hearing today and are able to be here, will tell you they're part of this group. If you didn't violate the Brown Act by putting this on less than 72 hours notice, more people would be here to tell you they're part of this group. So I am here to tell you there are people that are in this group that are your voters and your residents and your people that you should be representing. So I'm sorry if I can't identify a single person,
I didn't think you'd be able
With-
to, but go ahead.
you know, the permission I have, but I think you'll hear from people soon enough. So we've submitted some letters objecting to the Brown Act and the violation of the California Environmental Quality Act. We are asking that you comply with the California Environmental Quality Act by providing a notice of preparation of an environmental impact report rather than doing these deals behind the scenes without public notice and comment, and involving the public in the right way, as the Brown Act and the California Environmental Quality Act provide for. We think it's the right thing to rescind the exclusive negotiating agreement. I certainly agree with that part of what you're doing here today. We ask that you do not approve the ENA or the amended ENA that you're embarking on approving. It may be possible to approve it in the future after the proper environmental review is done, but that has not been taken care of yet. That procedure has not been followed, and we are here to object to that. We ask also, noticing that you have now scaled back your eminent domain plans, so you won't take perhaps a church and private residences, you still have the eminent domain provision in the exclusive negotiating agreement, and we are asking that that not be part of your plans. There are a couple of, just remark two things into the record and then.
All right, go ahead.
Actually, I should listen to your question, please.
I just said, why would you want us not to be able to use a power that every city in this country has to improve our economic position? Why would you want that?
It's a question of what.
Why
the
would you want
use-
that for Inglewood? Do you live here?
Your Honor, I do not.
Okay,
I
all
mean,
right, okay, that's all I wanted to know.
The question is how you go about using that power that perhaps every city has
In the country.
in the country. And that is it on behalf of the public interest, or is it on behalf of a private party who will then take what is eminent domain from the people who live here now or businesses that are located here now for that private interest? I think there are public purposes that can be served by eminent domain, but not a individual private party. There were two Los Angeles Times news articles I'd like to make part of the record. I'll just do it by reading the title and the date that they came out. One was on Sunday. It was entitled "Possible Clippers Arena Has Many Inglewood Residents Worried They May Lose Their Homes and Businesses." This was on August 13th. The other article was yesterday in Monday's Los Angeles Times. After protests, Inglewood City Council to vote on shrinking area for possible Clippers Arena. It seems that the only reason perhaps that we are having this meeting and possible revisions to the ENA is because of the publicity in the LA Times. It shouldn't work that way.
Really? Thank you.
It seems that way.
I got
thank you
that.
for your time.
Thank you. All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Leyna Patel. I'm the owner of the Roadway Inn on Century Boulevard. This new stripped-down ENA is another sham and a fraud. The city still reserves the power to use eminent domain later against all the residents and churches south of 102nd Street. The city acquired most city properties using redevelopment money and federal FAA funds. The use of these properties to subsidize billionaire Steve Ballmer and the Clippers violates state and federal law. The city and redevelopment agency lands cannot be part of this ENA without written approval from the State Department of Finance and the FAA. The ENA seeks to deprive all the business owners, residents, and churches of their constitutional rights. We have a right equal to Steve Ballmer and the Clippers to petition government for redress of grievances. This would cancel that right. This ENA is an invalid agreement to cut off all our communications with the city regarding these properties, including ours. It seeks to prevent owners, businesses, residents, and churches from proposing different uses of our own land. This is simply a way to personally enrich Steve Ballmer, the Clippers, the Inglewood officials, and their attorneys. Please reject this ENA and any proposal that could lead to the condemnation of our businesses, residents, and churches. Vote no. I want to submit a copy on record that we're mailing to the Chamber of Commerce.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, City Council, Benjamin Hanlon of Latham and Watkins on behalf of MSG Farm.
Benjamin, 1 second. Would you hand it to the city clerk, Mr. Sergeant at Arms? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
In June and then July, the city accepted $1.5 million in exchange for its promise to move forward with a new arena. This new arena will destroy a neighborhood. The community rightly responded with overwhelming opposition.
Overwhelming?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, all right.
Overwhelming opposition. After secret meetings, the city and its partner are back. This time with a new plan, the city and its partner again put together without any public input. Unfortunately, it is clear that the city and its partner are committed to moving forward at all costs and without regard for the city's existing businesses and residents. Businesses like MSG that invested millions into the forum and whose investment was a huge catalyst for Inglewood's turnaround. Family-owned businesses like the Roadway Inn that have worked hard for decades to make it here.
Were you aware that we had invested $18 million in the forum project? Were you aware of that?
Yes, sir. The city is ignoring its contractual obligations not to harm the forum. As detailed in our letter sent today and prior letters, the city is also ignoring the law. The city is ignoring its residents. We support the community and its overwhelming opposition to this new arena. We again urge the city not to move forward without first talking to the community and conducting environmental review. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Diane Zambrano, and as you all know, I am in fact a resident of this community. And I'll be giving some money to each one of those so you avoid that interruption that is ever so foolish so that they can continue to speak. After the meeting, both of you. It is incredible that you sit here and you play these tactics, but it is exactly who you are. As a man said, you are ignoring the law, as you did with the Miranda warning. You have the right to remain silent anything you can when you were in Santa Monica, as you are with the Joseph Texera case that still on the website says there's copyright. Notice the time change, probably going to change my amount to speak because that's another typical tactic. And you constantly interrupt. Yes, at one time everybody does have eminent domain for the public benefit. That's how this building was built. Notice how we're not going to have a recording, just like we did on June 25th and probably July 21st, and many meetings where significant things are said in front of this council. At some point, that's going to come back to haunt you in very horrid ways, as at least one person up here knows you cannot continually violate the law and get away with it. At some point, you will have to deal with it. Do you remember that the redevelopment agency had to be shut down? Do you remember that? That's because of abuse of power. The residents of this community deserve to be heard. The residents of this community deserve an environmental impact report. The reality is that, yes, you gave $18 million, to which at least one church was very, very happy. And yes, that was a church. I would hope that the letter that was given to the Chamber of Commerce actually goes to multiple chambers of commerce, since this Chamber of Commerce usually gets up and supports anything that the mayor says. And that's terribly unfortunate, because some businesses, these little ones, actually deserve equal representation. It is terribly sad that you listen only to those who please what you have previously determined you want to hear. The residents of this community do matter, and unfortunately, you've disregarded them for far too long.
First of all, good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, staff, resident, and guests. My name is Curtis Mitchell, and I live in District 1. I have a medical transportation business here in Inglewood. I've also worked with, I have a distribution company, one of the most sought after in Inglewood, where I worked for over 9 years with one of the most wonderful newspapers, the Inglewood Today. During that time, I had a chance to visit residents and businesses throughout Inglewood. I'm here today as a 40-year resident of Inglewood on behalf of the true sentiment in Inglewood regarding this proposed project. It is outrageous to me that they would go get a law firm from Hermosa Beach. This is Madison Square Garden. They're supposed to be our family. To come in and tell us that they're representing some group of people in our city. I've been here 40 years. God bless my mother and father. They've been here 60 years, and they're resting in peace over at the cemetery. I've never heard of this thing, irate. It's non-existent. I looked it up on the website. There's no contact information. Who is irate? Who is paying these attorneys all this money from Inglewood, which they can't tell us who, for this material and misinformation about this project? Sounds to me a little bit like fake news. Now, you are the Roundhouse and not the White House. You're here in Inglewood and you're a part of our community. Why would you want to go out and say that you're with a group of people that has come against our city council, our mayor and our city councilmen? I've been here. I grew up here. We couldn't find jobs. We had no jobs. This mayor and this city council have brought this to our community, and I just can't believe Madison Square Garden would go out to try to stop jobs and prosperity in this community. And that's what they stood on. I worked very hard to get Madison Square Garden in this city. I worked against the LA Times when they said Inglewood should not have Madison Square Garden. They said there's nothing but gang members and liquor stores and all of that. Well, we set a protest up. We marched from Manchester and Crenshaw down to Manchester and Prairie. And you know what? The LA Times retracted that statement. So I say, let's go forward. How can Madison Square Garden do this to us? They made big money. They've been here over 3 years. Lord knows they're booked till Jesus Christ come. They're a music seminar stadium. Do not let them tell our city council, our mayors, which represent us, the people here in Inglewood, that they're not going to let us bring jobs and prosperity here. I'm not going for that, Mayor, and I will make sure I do everything in my power to bring every organization I know to come out here and let Madison Square Garden know that this is not the White House, this is the Roundhouse. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole. I'm a resident here in Inglewood. I raise my children here. I work here. And I have the same amount of passion that the gentleman that just left had. I'm just nervous, so please forgive me. But I'm concerned. I am excited for the stadium. I'm excited for all the development that's coming into the city. I'm excited for our residents to be a part of that. I'm excited for my children to be able to root themselves here, but I'm just worried. I'm worried that, at least the way it looks, it doesn't feel like our interests are, what's being prioritized here. It feels like money's interest is being prioritized here, and those of us that don't have that kind of money feel like we don't have a voice, or that we're being left behind, or that things are happening kind of at our disposal, or that we're disposable. So I just would really like to voice the opinion of maybe some of us in the neighborhood that are a little bit more sheepish. We may not come to the city council meetings that often, but I work in this community. I work with the children. I work with the parents of these children. I'm very involved in the school district and with the students, and we just want to make sure that our voices are heard. We're confused as to why another arena needs to be built, why our land isn't being used for more housing and for affordable housing, and this money that's coming into the city isn't being used to help incubate our businesses and help renters become owners and things like that. So we just want to make sure that our voices are heard.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Board, City Council members. My name is Luis Mendez. I'm a resident, homeowner here in Inglewood. I've been here for about 6 years. I'm just here to express my concern as well as to what's happening in the city. I'm very excited. I have to admit there's a lot of good things happening in Inglewood. However, I'm going to echo what the young lady who was up here just said. I'm very concerned with the fact that it feels like we're being left out. It feels like the community hasn't been involved in all these processes, and I think it's important to keep us in mind. I'm concerned because I'm under the impression, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a politician, I don't know the specifics. In fact, this is my first meeting that I've attended in 5 years. I don't know all of the details, but I can tell you that I am concerned that, I am under the impression that there is public land that's being used for private interest. I don't think that that's a very good use of our property, the residents. I'm skeptical about having another arena in the city. I don't know how that came about. I'm not sure whose plan that was. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me or my neighbors or anyone in the neighborhood. You look at the practical issues from traffic to all the long-term implications as a resident, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think, again, I don't think we need another stadium. I'm not very convinced yet about this. I think that there is other things that we can do with this public land. It's public spaces we can use to build a skate park for my nephews, for my kids who live here in the community. There's a lot of other things, public housing, affordable housing. I know that we're moving in the right direction, but there's other things that we can do. And again, I have my reservations. I have a lot of concerns. And to any extent, I hope that we are involved and that we are kept apprised of what is happening in the next upcoming weeks and months, because I'm very concerned, as are my neighbors and the people in my neighborhood. So I did want to respond. I think that there are a lot of individuals who are worried. I think the issue here is that they're not informed. I think the more that we walk the streets, the more that we talk to people, and we start questioning and asking, okay, what's going on here? I think everyone's getting a little skeptical. So I think it's important that we come out here. And if this is something that is going to benefit us in the long term, it's going to have positive long-term implications, then let us know. I think it's important for us to hear from all of you directly, because right now a lot of this information is being obfuscated, and it just does not seem right. I have my concerns, and I hope that as you make these decisions, you keep and you consider the public and the community.
Thank you, sir. Obfuscated was a great word.
Good afternoon, residents of Inglewood. I'm here, number one. I love how catty you are. I'm glad you know a big word. But let's start talking reality. We all have family members, friends, who may have not have taken the same road you took. who might just happen to have a little bit of harder time getting on track, who might have to go and fall victim to the lack of resources and the dangerous lifestyle of the streets that once plagued Inglewood very roughly. And they may not be able to sit in these rooms. They may not be able to claim to be a homeowner. They may be just somebody trying to get their life back on track. And they love their city, and they love the memories they had, and they love where they want to take the city, because now they have children, and they see the rough that it took them. And they live in that apartment building right there, right across the street on Prairie. And they're just trying to get their kids to enjoy the life that they couldn't. And instead of a city going, we want to expound on that care, instead of a city saying, we embrace you too, instead of a city saying, for your young people, Morningside will be better. Inglewood will be a staple of education, of love, and of compassion for the future. Instead, we have chosen to use our high schools, our educational platforms, as football practice fields. We have opted out to instead bring child development and renters control for those families just trying to make it, to take their homes away, to make living so unobtainable for those who love this city, to pave the way for those who don't know it. I talk to everyone in Inglewood right now. Let the truth be seen and replace, because it's definitely time to replace the lies.
Welcome, ma'am.
I have been a resident of Inglewood, a happy resident, since 1978. And I agree with this project. I have watched how the jobs and prosperity went out of Inglewood at a time. My children went to schools here in Inglewood, Crozier, St. Mary's, Inglewood High School. So I have a lot of lifeblood right here in Inglewood. And my concern is that, same thing, I went on the website, there was no contract information. And I'm concerned too, I'm a counseling psychologist, so I ask questions. So who is irate, you know? And who are sending out these mailers, who's paying these attorneys from Hermosa Beach? I know that the city put $18 million, I believe it is, MSG when we redid the farm. I remember when the farm was built. So like I said, I have a history and I have a lot of lifeblood. To me, the jobs and prosperity that are needed, and by these teams coming back into LA, and especially choosing Inglewood as a place to home themselves, to me, that's like winning the lotto. A lot of people may not feel that way. Maybe everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I feel that it's a good thing. For 6 years, I worked with Ms. Reva Miller for the Healthy Senior Citizens Life Association, like I said, being a mental health professional. So I have a lot of lifeblood here in Inglewood. And I will just work as hard as I can to do whatever needs to be done to make this dream come true.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I'm here to just speak to a lot of the concerns that have been raised by the community. And, you know, there's a lot of concerns, of course, regarding jobs and employment, and that's important and it's legitimate. But if we don't have homes to live in, then those jobs are not going to be coming to us. And there's not a problem with different people coming into our neighborhood. You know, that kind of transformation is important and necessary, but not when it's at the cost of homelessness. Not when people are losing their homes and people are losing their livelihood. Is it okay for us to accept colonization so that people who are in bureaucracy can fill their pockets from corporate capitalist dollars? That's not acceptable. And we have the power as people who live in this community, live in Inglewood. I am a longtime resident of Inglewood. Most of my life has spent living in Inglewood. And we have the power as people who live and come to this community to consolidate our power as workers, as residents, as renters, to stop the development that is happening and prevent this kind of thing from happening to us. The same way that we prevented Walmart from being able to come into Inglewood and take over our city, and that Mayor Dorn, of course, had his legacy and now is prevented from being in public office. That has happened in our city, and that was from the power and the residents of Inglewood as well. So we have a legacy of militancy, of fighting back, of working class struggle that is united. And we can continue to replicate that in our own belief in ourselves. And really the concessions that are being made are because of the protests that have been happening, are because of the momentum that has been swelling and the pressure that has been put on, and probably because of some other, since this council is not really a fan of transparency, because of some other benefit that is being made to themselves. But best believe there is no profit being made without products being generated and without services being generated, and that comes from the workers and the working class of Inglewood. And the environmental impact report absolutely is something that needs to be transparent, but it also is something that needs to be enforced. We have to ensure that our lungs and our bodies are being protected in our city as well, and of course in our whole entire planet. So really, we have the legacy of power. We have the legacy of working class struggle and of militancy. We are Inglewood, and as residents and as people who live here, we can unite together and take the power back from people who are making decisions from us to fill their own pockets and to take their own power away from us.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, fellow Inglewoodians. My name is Odesh Riley, resident of Inglewood, have a business in Inglewood, elementary through high school in the city. When I was younger, this really wasn't a city a lot of people wanted to come to. I left and I went to college, and I'd tell people I'm from Inglewood. The only thoughts people had were violence, rap songs, and gangs. And I moved back anyway. It poured a lot into me, a city that was a real community. But we didn't have a lot of things here, and I hear all these stories about family, family, family. And I didn't see a lot of that when the property here was at a low value, when there was easy access to it. People weren't really so concerned. So now we have a lot of business coming in, and the property values in Inglewood are very high, and the land values are very high. And you have developers who want to take advantage of it, and that's good business. We have Madison Square Garden putting together something so that essentially they can keep their market secure, which a business should. As a business owner, I understand that. The problem I have with it is them backing a group, pretty much using people who may not have the best understanding as pawns to put them in a position to go fight their battle. Madison Square Garden has enough money. If they wanted to buy this land, they could build affordable housing. They're a huge company. They could buy that. They could have bought those parcels and built the apartment buildings they're talking about now. So as we're growing, cities are living things. They're never going to be the same. At one point, Inglewood was the whitest city in California. Then it was the blackest. Then 50-50 Hispanic and black. Now the demographics changing again. So as we're moving forward, we need to figure out ways to keep that family environment. We do need to figure out ways to keep our people together. But change comes everywhere. And so we just need to figure out the best way that we can do it. And I do applaud the city for finally putting the wherewithal together to start trying to make some of the changes, because now I'm proud to be able to invite my friends from other cities to come here. And it's good to have that. So we need to figure out some ways to just bridge that gap and see how we can help one another collectively.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Stuart Bailey. I live in the district. Now, what I would like to say is we have development going on in the city. We got MTA coming. We're building condos. We're building a senior center. There's just all kinds of great things going on in the city. We're going to eventually have a stadium, and hopefully we'll have Steve Ballmer come along. But it seems like Madison Square Garden is afraid of the word competition, which this country was built on. So if you're afraid of Steve Ballmer, what are you really afraid of? You have a man that sits in New York named Dave Checketts, who is the owner of MSG. He lives in New York City. He calls shots on the telephone to here to the West Coast to talk to see what's going on and make shots and moves all out here in California, Inglewood especially. So my challenge to MSG would be, let Steve Ballmer come, because you are entertainment. You do songs, you do that kind of stuff, boxing and stuff like that. Steve Ballmer is going to do basketball, and yes, he will bring in concerts, but concerts that are a little different from what MSG does. MSG has a lot of Latino and white performers. He might even bring in a few more black performers, which this community would love to have, because we have dollars. But MSG doesn't want to take advantage of it, and they want to disrespect us. And they don't want to communicate with the community as to what kind of entertainment we would like to be there, as well as what you have now. So, MSG, stop your suit against the city, because Steve Ballmer is going to bring the same thing you guys thought, and maybe even more, jobs. Guys, MSG, you only give a certain amount of hours to these people, and they still can't make it ends meet. Now, if you work for Steve Ballmer, you have concerts and basketball games. You can make it with the hours that he's going to bring. Okay? So that's all I have to say. I'll say more later. Thank you. Everybody have a great week.
Good afternoon, Mayor, staff. Mayor Davis, District 2. I'll start by, because I believe in fair play, a bit about lawyers and where they reside. That's kind of like a non-starter. To me, that's neither here nor there. You get legal representation, the best legal representation that you can find for what you can afford. If they were in another town, that's what you have to do. And I'll say this about this matter. There's a part of me that is jumping for joy. Who thought that we would ever get to this point where, hey, we got issues. 10 years ago, folks, we didn't have issues. Not really. We were just a city that was going along down a path that if January 16th, 2016 never happened, we'd probably be fiscally bankrupt by now. It is my hope, I'm confident that the mayor and the city council and the legal staff, you've done your due diligence. Folks have come up here and brought up the past about folks doing things that they rush through. Roosevelt Dorn comes to mind. Got what was coming to him. And I hope it doesn't happen here, because for me, this is almost, I'm hoping it'll end up being a dream come true for me, where we're the city where we got it right. glad the citizens have come down to voice their have you? But as others have mentioned, would you please be a citizen of Inglewood if you're going to start commenting on quality of life here? Because that's something that's been going on here in Inglewood for many years. Opportunists, social political opportunists show up, something is going down. Anything from police shootings to now issues of eminent domain. Mayor, City Council, just do the right thing. Look within yourselves and thank you for your time.
My name is Willie Agee, and I live in the beautiful city of Inglewood. I stood right here at this mic, and I was one of the first people that supported Madison Square Garden 100%. I'm proud of them today. I will be proud of them tomorrow. But I'm not happy with this lawsuit that they're bringing against the beautiful city of Inglewood. We have people that come to this city. Hollywood Park Development said $15 billion development would come to this city. They saw it 5 years ago. Nobody would invest money in this city. It was dead, it was going dead, it would be bankrupt right now had we not elected one man. And he got the support system on this council here. With the #1 city growing in this city, $15 billion development. Got a bunch of trucking companies, warehouses right south of Central Boulevard. What would you rather have? All of those diesel trucks waking up in the morning, loud, and people north of Central Boulevard living in 5-star hotels, Class A all the way.
Mr. Brown, would you please? Go ahead, I'm sorry, sir.
Would you rather have a basketball stadium, maybe other developments? I don't think it's going to be competition for the Forum. I think the Forum has got it made, and they should be happy to be here in Inglewood. And DR4, I just hope that everything goes according to the city council. I'm sure that they will do the right thing, no doubt about it. This council and the staff, they saved this city. 53 years I saw it go up and then I saw it go down. I'm proud to be in the beautiful city of Inglewood. I'm proud to have the leadership we got here. As a matter of fact, I hope in 2020 this man is running for president. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reina Granberry. I live in District 4. I've been in Inglewood since I was 15 years old. I just want to speak to the fact that we get a lot of our homeowners and elders that are often disconnected to the younger population, the ones that are not we don't own our homes yet. And it seems like the focus is always like, I own my home and now my property's going up. I urge you and the council to think about the rest of us. It's not always just about your property values and what Inglewood can do with these big stadiums and everything personally for you. I mean, we don't have community, we have a senior center, which is awesome. We don't have a youth center. It seems like we don't get community benefits out of these large developments that come here. When everybody came on Century, it's a beautiful thing. I love having all that there. I love Aldi, so thank you. But it just seems like when I've seen certain things be done in Los Angeles and different places where we get community benefits attached to these, that I can feel, maybe you feel, that comes to us in direct service, it just seems like sometimes that's missing. We don't think of it wholly. We just think about the bottom dollar, and the bottom dollar is important, so I'm not discrediting that. So just like we can see and connect to the things that you you see. We need you to connect to the things we see. I'm familiar with everybody, and I remember when we were fighting against Walmart, we had our elders and homeowners saying, these people are from out of town. I'm like, you can come visit me on 601 South Inglewood Avenue, see me at school. We're not out of towners, we live here. We just don't have the exact same concerns as you because we're not there yet. We're trying to get there, we're working hard, and we want that to be seen. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, 1 second. What was your name, ma'am?
I'm Reina Granberry.
It's really good to meet you, but I did want to just throw some education out there. You talked about community benefits. A new community center opened up in District 2 last year, brand new, no cost to the city. A $26 million?
I'm actually aware of that community
What,
center.
$26 million senior center will open in November.
Senior center, I appreciate that, because we have to take care of our elders. I asked about youth centers and things that everybody can use. I work for Great Beginnings for Black babies.
There is a youth center,
in
totally
Inglewood.
financed in Inglewood.
They wouldn't even allow us to use that center for our youth when we wanted to have a
on
youth
the first floor of the
Inglewood
library.
citizens.
So what I'm
We weren't
saying.
able to use it. It's inaccessible to us. Neither was the one in District 2.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. That's where we ended. 'Cause we're not able to use it.
I don't. If you're not a youth, of course you wouldn't be able to. Go ahead.
Council members, mayor, everyone. I'm not sure if I have the right to speak here because I'm not a resident of Inglewood. I'm from Oklahoma City. I got here on the 9th, and I've been having some issues with jobs in this area. This is the first area I came to because I felt it was safe. I've been here. I've had no gang issues, nobody bothering me. I've only had one issue. I believe that a lot of the job holders are a little afraid to take chances on people who are foreign to them and really never know who someone is going to end up being unless you give them a chance. So I'd like to see you guys make sure that the people who are in charge of the jobs are giving foreign people from other areas a good opportunity to work. Like me, I'm not on drugs, don't do drugs, don't want to end up in that life. All I want to do is work here in this state. I love California so far, and I like to work and get me adequate housing and be a good, productive citizen. I actually took a trip down to Skid Row, and I really did not like what I saw. I was very disappointed, and I think you guys need to find something to do about that. But other than that, just make sure that these job holders are giving people from other areas a good chance to get a job, hold a job, and be a productive citizen in your community. I think it's a great community. So I think it's something that needs to be addressed. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
sir.
Good afternoon, residents of Inglewood and city council members and Mr. Mayor. I'm back.
Welcome back.
My name is Irene E Cowley. I live in North Inglewood. I've taught your children in preschool. I have taught my neighbors, all from Inglewood and Lenox, in the Lenox Adult School. My kids grew up with your kids. My kids may have grown up with you. I've been here since '71. I've watched this city grow in a number of different ways. And I'm here because of the people here. Please don't talk to me about money. I'm not being paid by anybody. I didn't get an irate flyer. I did get contacted by Uplift Inglewood, and I've been to meetings with real people and real faces in that group. To be quite honest, when I first heard about your plan with the Clippers, my immediate reaction was, oh my God, not 5 more years not being able to get to Costco. We're all a little selfish in this. But now with more thought about it, I know that that area has been in contest. We've been trying to figure out what to do with that whole block where the hotel burned down and all that stuff. For years, I've been to your meetings from Ralph Franklin with
25
your
years.
district. And I know it's been a struggle. Personally, I don't think we need another stadium. We don't need another football, another basketball team to come, another set of games, another whatever, no matter what we think one way or another. In my neighborhood, we have a very varied neighborhood. We have lawyers, we have supermarket workers, we have semi-employed carpenters, we have teachers, we have policemen. And they, right now, can't afford North Inglewood. But our kids are really struggling to live in the neighborhood, although a lot of them have chosen to come back and live on our block or in our neighborhood. People are what Inglewood is about. People. I have a challenge for you. If you were to dump the whole thing with Balmer and the Clippers, what could you do really creatively with that area? Could we build, and nobody gave me this idea, it came to me.
I'm going to give you three.
Could we build housing for all the people who will work across the street? Could we do something brilliantly creative
Rainey?
and really be known for it?
Rainey, you should know that we can't build housing on that land because it's FAA restricted in the flight path. You should know that. You were, all right.
I do.
All right.
I know that there are restrictions there.
Okay,
but be really creative. Don't build another stadium.
Okay.
That's not creative.
All right, I got
I
you.
challenge you.
I got you. I take the challenge. Can't put a school there either. And please don't shout in the audience, please. Go ahead, Ms. Sly.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and staff. I know you have advocates here, and they agree with everything that you're doing in Inglewood. Most of them have good reasons to agree with everything you do in Inglewood because they're financially involved or they're receiving some other gifts. The majority of the people in Inglewood are not. And they're struggling. They're struggling to hold on to their properties. It's very, very strange that we would have a government that decides things really behind closed doors, because I don't remember signing my name to anything to say that I agree, even with Madison Square Garden.
You're right.
Came around, but then it disappeared, and then it was a 5-0 vote to do it. Okay, that worked out as a success. But now with the stadium, there was a little thing that went around. I never got to sign it, and then it disappeared. And then it was decided that Mr. Whatever his name is can build his multi-million-dollar stadium for football. And now I hear that we may have a Clipper entity to come. I never agreed with it, and I am a citizen of Inglewood. What I would rather you do is take care of the Inglewood infrastructure, our education, build us new schools. The schools that we have are dilapidated. I saw that funny paint painted on Inglewood High School. It's like putting a crown on a rat because it does not, the inside does not change. We need a decent educational system.
Ms. Sly, you know we don't run the schools, right?
I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care. I got it.
I don't care.
I got it.
The
I
money
understand.
that could be, that's generated from you bringing in all these contractors and everything with their multi-million dollars could be put to better use. Our stores, all the great stores have disappeared. I like to shop quality when I can afford it, but we don't have quality here. We don't have it. That thing over on Century Boulevard, off of Century, that's not quality. No, that's for poor people. I'm tired of having things done just for people who can't afford better. We deserve better because we are the people that pay your salaries. Please think about the citizens of Inglewood, not just how many fat dollars you can get. with contractors coming in because we have a certain amount of people in Inglewood who are sports-minded. Everybody's not sports-minded.
Well,
And the
you're gonna
money
have-
could
you're
be
gonna have
used
to
for
wrap
better
up.
things. And I know my time was up a long time ago. Thank you for listening to me.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say she had a good time.
Good afternoon. My name is Brother Curry. I'm a resident here in the city of Inglewood, the beautiful city of Inglewood. Like my brother said, that's right. So I'm with Uplift Inglewood. It's a community coalition, and it's comprised of community members, people who live here, residents. So I've heard a lot about irate. I'm not sure what that is, but I can stand here and tell you that Uplift Inglewood is not defined by what we are against. Although we are against displacement, although we are against evictions, we are defined by what we stand for. And what we are for is affordable housing. What we are for is rent stabilization and rent control here in the city of Inglewood so that we can remain here. What we are for is the home court advantage, not the Clippers, the residents of the city. What we are for is for living wages. I heard a lot of talk about jobs, and we commend you on bringing jobs to the city. That's good. But we don't want jobs at the expense of our environment. We don't want jobs at the expense of our health. And we don't want jobs at the expense of our community having what it deserves. Now, I heard some talk about competition. Now, if you want competition, why would you use eminent domain? That's not competition. That's not allowing the private market to work itself out. That's not what that is. That's government stepping in. If you want competition, allow for business to make its own decisions and for you not to make decisions on behalf of business. Make decisions on behalf of the residents. Now, I've heard some talk about people, saying that they weren't proud to live here before, or nobody would move here 5 years ago, and that's a great narrative.
It's all true, but go
That's
ahead.
not true. That's not true. That's a bold-faced lie. My brother right here, I've been watching you come up to this stand talking about the beautiful city of Inglewood for years. For years. So that's a lie. People are proud to live here. So again, we are demanding that you use that land responsibly. And an arena is not responsible.
My name is April Stokes. I am in District 1. And this is my first city council meeting. And the reason I'm here today is because I've heard so much from both sides, but I don't know what the truth is. I feel the lack of transparency is one of the issues that we have. Because I can't make an informed decision, because I'm not hearing everything, from the council, and then I hear one side through flyers, through Facebook, and through other arenas. So I think the council has a duty and a responsibility to be transparent in all of its doings. One of the things that bothers me the most, and when people do say about Inglewood, I've lived here now for 9 years. So I did move here when I guess people thought it was bad. And I was proud of Inglewood then, and I'm proud of Inglewood now. And I am a sports fan. So I was a little excited at the prospect of the Clippers. But then when you think about it and you realize that people may be displaced, that's where, and I see you shaking your head, and that's why I want to know for sure, so I can make an informed decision about my side, if you will. But I think that's what's lacking from the council because we're not getting transparency. And another issue I have is about the school system. As a mother of a young 6-year-old, the schools here in Inglewood are deplorable. When I go into a school and I have to call the principal,
We don't have the right to turn the taxpayers' money over to another entity like that. Okay? Thank you. Please, folks, you don't get to talk twice. Thank you. Come on, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Melvin Howard. I'm a resident of Inglewood, taxpayer. And I'm a big fan of the Clippers. from the time they were in San Diego till they came to LA. But I don't want to see them on Prairie. I want to see, and you all can do it if you want to. You say it's not designed for housing.
No, it's impermissible to put housing there.
Okay, but it should be impermissible for a stadium as well, because whatever you do in your house, you're gonna cook at the stadium, you're gonna have restrooms at the stadium, you're gonna have a place for them to lay down and rest at the break, at the halftime. You need to think about the community and the people. And I'm talking about the homeless people, because where I live, I can sit on my porch and see a marijuana stand, a dispensary, that should have been open for the poor and the needy and the homeless. But you give it to them, and then you don't know who owns it, who's running it. You lock the door when someone is killed, and then the next day before I can get up and wash my face, it's open again. You all can do whatever you will, but you need to stand for the people, the community, and everybody. Make sure that there's a place. If you're going to use your eminent domain, you make sure that whoever is losing their home has a place to go to. You need to do that. Even if you build some high-rise apartments for the low and needy people like myself. And I shouldn't say that. God forgive me, because he has blessed me with a good living. I'm a retired school teacher, and I think you all should think about people. But above all, I'm a Christian woman, and I love the Lord. And I think you all should put the love of Jesus in your hearts and think about that community out there. Love those people. Love our children. Love them, because let me tell you, when we started smoking cigarettes, oh, it was good because it grows out of the earth. Now they put all kind of stuff in it, and you can wind up with cancer, lung cancer, throat cancer. Well, the marijuana is going to do the same thing, because once they start messing with it, you're going to wind up sick, cancer, and all of that. It starts out good, but then it's nothing to it. And marijuana is nothing new. It's been in existence long before I was born, and I'm an old lady. This hair is gray because I am old. So you all need to think about the community. And I'm one of those children from Birmingham, Alabama, that the hose pipes and the dogs were on. And I will stand until the Lord comes for me. And I will preach to keep all of you. Anybody that's not speaking and thinking for me, we gonna get you out.
Okay, ma'am, I missed your name again.
My name,
Yes, ma'am.
it's Melvin, just like the masculine. And most people send me mail with Mr. Melvin Howard, but I'm fully woman all the way.
Yeah, definitely. And
Melvin Howard.
and one more thing, the sale of marijuana in a non-residential medicinal facility is illegal in Inglewood, and if there is a facility, it's because it takes over 6 months for the process for us to
Well,
close
it's
them
been
down.
over a year.
And-
I've called Franklin's office
And
already
he's
and talked
and
about
he's
it.
working very hard on it. I just wanted you to know that.
Well, it's not hard for Redwood and Anaheim, all of them, to close them down, but all of a sudden, it's just such a problem for you all.
It is definitely a difficult,
I don't
protected
understand.
problem.
You know.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. God bless you all.
Okay, going once. No, you actually had about 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Patterson. I'm a representative with the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters, and I would like to thank you guys for allowing me to come up here today, the community. Respect you guys. I grew up not too far from here. I'm not exactly an Inglewood resident, but I spent a lot of time here when I was younger. I grew up on 97th in Vermont. Go to Jesse Owens Park every summer for swimming in the YMCA. So my ties to the community is deep. Born 1977, I just turned 40 this year. Stuff is starting to look a lot more clearer to me. I understand a lot of the concerns in the room. Change happens all the time. I'm actually in Hesperia, California now. As a carpenter, I was able to overcome some obstacles. Right here in Inglewood, I had my first break. It was the Century Housing Program in Lenox. They taught me how to read a tape measure, handle material, and just opportunities about how to get into the trades. So with that right there, it was it's 17 years later now. 2000 November is when I joined the Carpenters. And I appreciate you guys working with us and having us be a part of building the community. There's something I want to talk about, career opportunities. What career opportunities mean for me and others like me, the younger guys coming up out there looking for opportunities, it's great paying jobs to provide for their families. Livable wages. As carpenters, we're always fighting for livable wages. Every day we wake up and put those boots on and go and build the communities. It also creates a good career opportunity. Be able to get out there and work with their hands, help build the community, and just to leave a legacy behind. Also, being a productive citizen. Here I am now, 17 years later. As a youth, some of my time was taken from me. I made the wrong decisions. I'm a firm believer of peer pressure and how that, coming from a depressed community in the 90s, like it was, that I was a part of, foster homes and all that kind of stuff that came along with it. God's given me another chance as well to be able to stand up here with this courage and speak to the people. Carpenters are out there trying to fight for good paying jobs in these communities with PLAs that you guys are a part of. So we commend you guys. Thank you for George Dawson for coming out, seeing what we're out here doing with the community, giving these guys a chance to learn and build with their hands. Like I said, I was going to follow up and bring you a shirt for you and your constituents. Hey, we're deeply committed to helping where we can as carpenters out here being a part of the community.
We're at time, sir.
Thank you, guys. Can I leave this with you?
You can leave it with the Sergeant at Arms. Okay.
Chris Meany for the LA Clippers. Today, you, as the City Council and other governmental bodies, are considering an amendment to the exclusive negotiating agreement between the City of Inglewood and the LA Clippers. Among a number of technical revisions, the amended ENA would reduce the study area covered by the ENA. This revision makes clear that the study area excludes any land occupied by a legal resident or church. I want to go beyond that. I want to make very clear a truth that has been lost in the misrepresentations that have been thrown out by people organizing opposition to our project. Neither the City of Inglewood or the LA Clippers has taken any action or will take any action to take anyone's home or church, period. That fear is being driven by people who are working for no higher purpose than the limiting of competition and the denial of opportunity in Inglewood. In the few weeks that have passed since our project was first announced, we have seen new websites, flyers, and other efforts taken to tell the citizens of Inglewood that their homes are being taken. These are lies. The LA Clippers would not ever participate in such an effort. It is not who they are, not who Inglewood is. Let's talk truth. The LA Clippers seek 15 to 20 acres to build a world-class basketball facility. The project would include an NBA arena, training center, and business offices. This would be the year-round home of the Clippers. In addition to 40 to 50 home games each year, this would be the 365-day-a-year home of the team and its more than 150 employees. We think Inglewood would be a great home for the Clippers. We understand that any development of a facility like the Clippers plan would require a thorough public vetting. The ENA we signed in June identified 80 acres as a general area to be considered for this project. 80 acres is more than 4 times what we need. That ENA explicitly said that excess area would be released from the ENA as planning progressed. We are just beginning the process and have not done any detailed site work. We don't know what specific site boundary will be best and what issues might exist for specific parcels. Put another way, rather than work in secret to develop all the details of a site plan and then introduce it fully baked to the public, we chose to start the process by notifying the public that we were interested and that our evaluation would take place through public process. Concerns have been raised that our planning area overlays occupied residences in a church. We are responding by reducing the study area to exclude those homes and churches. The reduced study area is still bigger than we ultimately need and will be further reduced through the process. Our opponents are trying to use these facts against us. The citizens of Inglewood, I say, isn't this what you want? A public process with a partner who engages and responds? Do you want the downtown interest that took the Lakers and Kings to stop any consideration of the Clippers' move before it can even be fully proposed? The LA Clippers are committed to building community. We promise to engage.
Folks, I let everybody, hold on a second. I let everybody go over, so don't do that. That is so rude. Go ahead, Mr. Meany.
The LA Clippers are committed to building community. We promise to engage with you honestly and transparently. We believe our project will be very good for Inglewood, bringing jobs and economic development. We fully understand that for us to come to Inglewood, our move will have to be approved by Inglewood. Nothing will be done in Inglewood that is not determined by Inglewood. We just want that determination to be made based on truths, not the misrepresentations of our competitors. Challenge us, but challenge the organizers paid by our competitors just as much.
Thank you. With that, we will close public comment, and we have we'll close the recess the parking authority, and we have a presentation of the Inglewood and Buxton partnership.
Yes, Mr. Chris Jackson will introduce the speakers for today.
Introduce our newest addition to the city of Inglewood, hailing from the city of Glendale. We're proud to have Ms. Sharon Mann Garrett, who is our new Economic Development Manager in the Economic and Community Development Department. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Butts and members of the City Council. Thank you very much for that warm welcome. It's been great being here for just my first week. I do intend to work very hard to help shape and to fulfill the economic development goals of this city. One of the important tools that we'll be needing to use to ensure that we drive our work with objective and fact-based analysis is research. So for your information, I'd like to introduce you to Cheyenne Robinson, who's representing the Buxton Company, one of the foremost trade area researchers in the country and one of our newest research partners.
Thank you, Sharon, and good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, City Council. It's a pleasure to be here in Inglewood again. As Sharon mentioned, I'm Cheyenne Robinson. I'm your day-to-day contact and point of contact and account executive with Buxton. I'm really pleased to be sharing with you all an executive summary of our findings. And as you all know, you've partnered with us to understand essentially all the economic conditions that are present and to seek an actual program to not only retain but also recruit businesses as well. Now, how we got started in the marketplace was over 23 years ago in site selection and market optimization with retailers. And essentially a decade ago, we realized that we could reverse that approach and take a data-driven drive on the public sector. Now, over the past decade, we've helped recruit and retain over 35 million square feet of retail across the U.S., working from small communities to large metropolitan areas as well. Now, how we're able to support you all and support our clients is by understanding who are your citizens as consumers. So getting beyond demographics, knowing that that's only one piece of the full story, retailers want to know, what are the psychographics of the consumers? How are they living their lives? How are they spending their dollars? Where are those best potential customers or consumers found within your retail trade area? So getting beyond political boundaries and knowing where is that retail trade area for the consumers and the value of those consumers to a retailer and to your community. So how we're able to leverage and understand who your consumers are as shoppers for a retailer is through one of our key differentiators, which is understanding how America lives. We have over 250 data sources in-house maintained on over 130 million households with thousands of different variables that tell us lifestyle and shopping habits. So for instance, I can look at a household and I can tell you that the wife, she drinks red wine or white Chardonnay, or maybe the husband is drinking tequila or is drinking Crown. That's the level of information that we have and that we're leveraging to understand consumers. Now, how we have this information is because as consumers, we willingly give away information every day. From buying and selling a home to filling out a warranty on your lawnmower, we're purchasing that so that our clients and Inglewood can make strategic decisions and understanding your citizens. So let's take a look at some basic findings at first. So we know that your population of over 113,000, around 27% of the population are under 18. Well, it's great to understand basic demographics to have that foundational insight. We have to get beyond that and look at where are the consumers for a retailer. So knowing that within 10 minutes, you have a potential of over 287,000 customers for a retailer, and that there's 5 different consumer types, which we'll dive into here deeper, that make up the majority of your trade area. Now, when we're looking at the dollars that are being spent, there's over $169 million that are unmet. So that's leakage. It's dollars that are leaving your trade area for different purchases and goods and services. Some of the areas that you're experiencing the highest leakage are in furniture, specialty food, and sporting goods. So let's continue to think like a retailer and understanding your trade area and who are those consumers. So I mentioned we look at 71 different unique consumer types. Here you're looking at those 5 that are most prevalent for Inglewood. These consist of a very diverse group of consumers, some that are omni-channel shoppers, so that means they're shopping in the stores, they're shopping online as well. You also have those middle-aged singles that are enjoying going to comedy club and blogging in their free time. You have upscale couples that have grown children, and they're more of your art connoisseurs. And if you're going to reach them, if you're an existing business, they prefer to be reached through direct mail versus online. You also have a mix of larger families that are foreign travelers and also like to do shopping in stores. You have households that are also middle-aged families that are more fashionable, and they like to go to the music parks with their families, and also more of your PTA parents. Now, where are these consumers found and these shoppers for a retailer? We see overall that the most sustainable customer base is within 10 minutes of Inglewood. You have over 287,000 potential customers within your 10-minute trade area. Now, the reason you want to look at your market from how far in minutes are those households going to drive is because as consumers, we think of convenience. So how quickly can you grab your milk and eggs at the grocery store? How fast is it to fill up at the convenience store? This is how retailers are making their decisions as well. Now, we see that on average, the consumers will drive around 10 minutes in Inglewood. However, we know that with these stadiums draw, that's going to only enlarge your retail trade area and bring in households from even further distances. However, when a retailer is making their decision on site selection, they want to know where is that heart of that day in, day out sustainable customer base within your 10-minute drive time. Now, we also have to take a look at those what else market conditions. So understanding everything that's going on and identifying who are those retailers that are the best fit for your trade area. So knowing where you're experiencing leakage and surplus. So this is an example looking at Hollywood Park in 10 minutes. I can run this report on each and every one of the council districts. We can take a look at a specific business's retail trade area and see where they're experiencing leakage that they may want to capitalize on. Now, when you're looking at this on the left-hand side of the graph, that is showing a leakage, so dollars leaving that 10-minute trade area. And then on the right, that's showing a surplus. So what that means is you're attracting non-local shoppers doing exceptionally well there. Now, that doesn't mean you can't attract more of those type of businesses, just saying that you're overperforming. You have non-local shoppers that are coming in and spending dollars in restaurants, for example. Now, overall, there's over $169 million that are unmet and that are leaving the area. Now, we want to capitalize on that and cut the retail leakage that's occurring within Inglewood. Now, how we do that is by knowing who your consumers are, knowing where they're coming from, knowing all of those market conditions that are present, and analyzing the thousands of retailers, trade areas that are out there, and identifying those that are in markets with the most similar characteristics and diverse customer base that Inglewood offers to those retailers. So what you're seeing here are the strongest retailers and top 20 that we've identified for your retail trade area. Now, you will notice some like Aldi, Ralph's, they are currently within Inglewood, but we see that you have the opportunity and need for a second location for those brands. Now, not only have we identified these retailers, we've provided you with all the tools for recruitment for each of these companies. So all the data to showcase to this retailer why they should be looking at Inglewood for that next location, showing the locations they have on the ground today similar to your customers, similar to all of your market factors, identifying the best point of contact to engage with each of these companies. And so where we are today is starting that aggressive approach and being proactive to your recruitment strategies here in Inglewood, and going to be working very closely with Sharon and Chris moving forward on this strategy and implementing our findings. So overall, our partnership is providing you that proactive approach to recruitment and retention, leveraging our background, working directly with over 3,000 retailers in site selection and market optimization, leveraging that background to take a proprietary approach, understanding all the conditions in your trade area, who are the retailers that are most promising for all of the market factors, and providing you a strategic solution so that we can engage with those companies and have success long-term with recruitment, but also retention. So having on-demand access through our analytics platform that we call Scout, where you can pull insights for an existing business to show them who their consumers are, to show them what their merchandise preferences are from the area, so better shelf allocation, and ongoing support. So we're not just a data provider, we truly are here as your partner. So we're here to continue to evolve that strategy ongoing, whether it's providing you additional research, joining your team at retail conferences and attending meetings or conference calls with these retailers to show them why they should be looking at locations in Inglewood to improve and increase the sales tax revenue, the quality of life, and also retain businesses. Now, a new solution that we are just rolling out that I just want to briefly share with you all is called Local Store Marketing Insights. This is a new software online that any business can go online and access to see where their consumers are. They can actually directly reach these households through a number of channels, whether it be a banner ad when they're reading their news, or be a direct actually email to those households. So that's something for you all to be looking forward to, as we will be rolling that out here very soon for several businesses within the city of Inglewood to help that business retention aspect even take that a step further.
What we want to make plain is that this is an effort by the city to engage consulted experts to help us set an environment for the recruitment, retention, and expansion of small local businesses. We hear all the time about what about the businesses that are here? What about the small businesses? Well, we're in an economic situation where we can actually now invest in strategies to support our small local businesses. So anyway, I want to thank you for your presentation.
Have any further questions?
Item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Payments.
Madam City Clerk.
Agency and Housing Authority members: Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Butts.
Aye. Recess the successor agency and the Housing Authority. Consent calendar. Items 2 through 11.
So moved.
Second. Madam City Clerk.
Council members: Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. DR1.
Staff report recommending approval of an agreement with Men at Work, LA Concrete, Inc., to provide various services in support of the modernization and security improvements at the Locust Street parking structure located at 115 North Locust Street, parking structure 2, successor agency bond funds.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members: Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. DR2.
Staff report recommending approval of amendment number 1 to agreement number 16017 with AECom Technical Services, extending the term by 1 year and adjusting the total compensation by the additional $483,442 successor agency bond funds.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Council members: Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. DR3.
Staff report recommending approval of an agreement with Kane, Balmer, and Bergman for broad-ranging legal advice, guidance, and representation to the City of Inglewood, Inglewood's successor agency to the former Inglewood Development Agency, and to Inglewood Parking Authority.
Move approval
Second.
with comment.
Council members.
Well, before we vote the comment.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Yeah, that's it. Go ahead for your comment.
Thank you. First, thank you all for being here and definitely giving us your comments. It's been a while since we had a strong group show up, but it's not the first time either. This council has seen over the past.
Hold on, Eli. We didn't vote on DR3 yet.
Oh, I thought that's what. Okay, go ahead.
So he withdraws his comment.
He's excited.
And I'm calling for the question. Okay, no.
For
So
DR3.
we're voting on DR3 now.
Okay, okay.
Eli was faking us out.
Council members: Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. DR4.
Staff report recommending approval of an amended and restated exclusive negotiating agreement by and among the City of Inglewood as successor agency to the Inglewood Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, the Inglewood Parking Authority, and Murphy's Bowling LLC, a Delaware limited liability company developer, providing for an exclusive negotiating period by the parties for the potential construction of a National Basketball Association arena and related development in the City of Inglewood within the areas of the City of Inglewood generally depicted in the ENA and described as follows: Century Boulevard on the north, Prairie Avenue on the west, along with 2 parcels located to the west of Prairie Avenue, depicted as the approximately 2.3 acre parcel and the approximately 3.12 acre parcel as shown on the ENA Exhibit A. The study area site map, then mid-block on West 102nd Street toward West 103rd Street, on the south to South Doty Avenue, and then West 102nd Street on the south to Yukon Avenue, and Yukon Avenue on the east.
Before we have the staff report, Mr. City Attorney, we received a letter from Latham and Watkins. We have a stack of letters, probably about that high from them. But this one alleges that we didn't post the item in time. I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Thank you, Mayor. As for recording of the posting of the Brown Act, it requires 72 hours notice in advance of the City Council meeting. That includes Saturday and Sunday. My understanding that the posting was done on Friday, which would be more than the 72 hours required.
All right, thank you very much. Now, if we had an agenda posted earlier than that and we subsequently updated it within that 72-hour window, would that be a legitimate posting? All right, thank you very much. Is there a report, Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Royce Jones, our special counsel, outside legal counsel, will give the staff report.
members of the City Council, and Mr. Chairman, and members of the Inglewood Successor Agency and the Inglewood Parking Authority. I just want to give a brief presentation on the amended and restated exclusive negotiation agreement with Murphy's Bow LLC, which is before you for approval consideration. I just want to make one minor correction from the description that the city clerk and the secretary gave, and she talked about the two parcels located to the west of Prairie Avenue depicted as the approximately, I think she mentioned approximately 2.3 acres. It's 2.03 acres.
Yes,
just
sir.
to be clear about it. But essentially, we're here, as you know, on June 15th, 2017, an ENA was approved by and among the city and the various parties. And after various clarifications and modifications, we're now coming before you again to ask that an amended and restated exclusive negotiating agreement be approved by the various entities and Murphy's Bow LLC to make various clarifications. As the proponent on behalf of the developer had mentioned, one of the clarifications consists of modifying the site map study area.
Mr. Jones, let me interrupt for just for a moment. One, is this a depiction of the modified area?
Yes, it is.
Two, is it unusual or is it customary that when parties engage in an ENA, that as the process goes on, there are modifications, clarifications, adjustments as you come closer to agreeing on what a proposed project might look like?
Absolutely. That is part of the negotiation process, part of trying to define and redefine areas of project development.
Is that what has been occurring since the original adoption of the ENA?
That has occurred as a result of further clarifications and refinements to the previous.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Continue.
Okay. So essentially, as we just discussed, the proposed study area site map has been reduced as depicted on the screen. Secondly, what was decided and determined was that all affordable residential uses and churches within the area have been excluded from the site area. And in addition to that, the agreement contains a prohibition on the public agencies being able to acquire by eminent domain or voluntary acquisition any existing affordable housing units, as well as a church, as well as churches.
That's an important clarification. Not only does it exclude a taking by eminent domain, but it also excludes a voluntary sale of affordable housing to the developer of the city. Is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
The negotiation period will continue to be 36 months. However, that 36-month period will now commence as part of this new amended and restated ENA. That the prior ENA has now been superseded by this one. So all the terms and conditions that were contained in that, to the extent that they're not covered in here, are no longer valid and null and void, so to speak.
Mr. Jones, is any of the city-owned land within this newly proposed ENA area, is it allowable to place affordable housing or schools on it?
No, there is an FAA restriction in this area, and as a matter of fact, there's an navigation easement that precludes type of schools or housing in that particular area. As a matter of fact, the money that we were given, or the city was given to acquire these properties, specifically was conditioned on not allowing any additional housing, not just affordable housing, any housing, and any schools on this particular parcel.
Mr. Jones, is it true that of the parcels that we see on these screens right now, that some of them have been in the possession of the city as long as 25 or 30 years with no use?
That is true.
Okay, thank you very much. You can continue.
Okay. And just to try to finish up, it's important to note that within this 36-month period, and it doesn't mean that we're going to take entirely the 36 months, but that's the time frame we have to engage in exclusive negotiations. And it's important to note that once the site has been refined, the developer has agreed to enter into a funding agreement, provide funds to the city to do the necessary CEQA environmental review and analysis on the proposed project. So once it becomes a project or is defined as a project, we then undertake the necessary environmental analysis as required by the California Environmental Quality Act. At this particular point in time, we have not reached that, and what we are establishing is that establishing the negotiation parameters that we need to go forward with in order to try to define what that project is going to be that will be subject to CEQA environmental analysis.
Mr. Jones, so without a project defined, without any idea of what it will look like, how would it be possible for us to do a CEQA review for a project that we have no estimation of any types of impacts?
Well, you could do a CEQA review, but you wouldn't know exactly what you're reviewing. And the idea would be that if, in fact, it turned out subsequently that you had a different project than what you speculated on what you thought you had, then you'd have to do the review all over. So it makes no sense to do a CEQA review based upon a proposal that we've received. I should add, if there is a project, because until there is an approved project, there is no project to consider. Last thing I want to say is that the prior ENA talked about a $1.5 million deposit that the developer had to put up that was non-refundable. As part of this amended and restated ENA, that $1.5 million will be retained upon approval of this amended and restated ENA by the City Council, the successor agency, and the Parking Authority. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any council questions or comments?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, first off, I want to thank everybody for coming out. You know, we hear your concerns. You know, at the end of the day, as a council, we're looking at doing what's best for the city of Inglewood. That's always our goal. And so as we look at these projects, whether it's the Forum, Hollywood Park, the casino, housing, we look at what's best for the city of Inglewood in the long run, you know, and how it's going to benefit our residents. People forget that we all live in the city of Inglewood as the mayor and the council and elected officials. We live here, and so we're looking at what's in our best interest. One thing that we've said early on is that we weren't looking to displace folks. That's never been our intention, and I want to thank Mr. Meany for coming up and doing his presentation and making that very clear. Others would have you believe nonsense. And I've always asked folks, believe in us, and our past behavior will dictate our future performance. And if you look at where Inglewood is today and where it was just a few years ago, we are on the map for all the right reasons. We are looking to continue to improve Inglewood. And I want to thank Royce Jones, you know, for your presentation and answering the questions the mayor's shooting out at you, you know, but that's because we want to be clear. We don't want you to listen to these other organizations, whether it's irate, that nobody even knows who they are or how to get a hold of them. They're, you know, they put out this stuff that, you know, nobody knows who or what they're about. Other people want to control the destiny of Inglewood. Well, it's time for us to control our own destiny. It's time for your elected officials to look at what's best in the future. And so that's what our goal is. That being said, I do appreciate folks coming up and letting us know your concerns and your thoughts. And we do take those serious and into consideration. But at the end of the day, we'll do what's best for the city of Inglewood. Thank you.
Mayor.
Councilman Franklin, District 4.
Yes, as a 43-year resident in District 4 and been on the council since '03, there have been a number of anticipated developers wanting to come to the sites. Even though the city and the Agency Development Agency does not own all the property, and I have to tell you, at last, there's an organization with the vested funding that is needed to be able to develop this Blythe area that we've been dealing with. And so it's great to know that Inglewood's on the map. More importantly, we as residents, particularly in District 4, have identified that our economy is starting to boost and improve. And so with that thought in mind, again, I echo the comments that the residents have stated, is duly noted, particularly about my friend that I've got to know, Ms. Howard, and our issues regarding some other city business, and I thank you for your support in that. But this is the time that we now have a chance to have a development of a much-needed, blighted community that we now can turn it around with job opportunities, prevailing wage jobs, and staying in compliance with FAA and LAWA. It's not for housing, it's for development of commercial. And that being said, I'm looking forward for this project moving forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Morales, District 3.
Thank you. First, thank you to Chris Mindy, who did just an excellent job of kind of clarifying what one of the issues was in terms of the area we're looking at and in terms of shrinking what had been contemplated in the original ENA. Now, I can tell you that he didn't have to do that. The other group, they didn't have to get into that conversation, but what they did was they went the extra step, they heard what was happening here, and they did the responsible thing. And that's, you know, it's amazing. You just can't get any clearer than that. You can choose to believe something else, but at this point, that's a choice. It's been clarified. We don't plan on using eminent domain with any residents or any churches, period. The gentleman who spoke first on this item was from the Social Justice Learning Center, and he did a good job of separating the two issues. I don't know if that was his intention, but the truth is he said, that's a different deal, but we still have these other issues because we are growing so fast. We have these issues. So I want to thank him for separating the two issues. That was extremely clear as well. That's what I want the public to see, that this is a different item. The Madison Square Garden would love for that item to be tied together. That makes sense to them, to get the attention they're getting. Truth of the matter is they're completely separate. I'm just going to touch on a few things. The Brown Act, the way the Brown Act works, our attorney tells us we're right in line with the Brown Act, we go forward. Another person's attorney tells us we're not in line with the Brown Act, we're not supposed to listen to them. We're supposed to listen to our own attorney. At that point, there's a process for that. It's in the legal system. They're welcome to use it. That process happens outside of this room. We will be notified if we did not follow the Brown Act. The secret meetings, that's a phrase commonly used when people disagree with what we're doing. Many decisions like this have been made. This is not the first crowded room I have been having the privilege of listening to. It's actually been very, very good experience that we've had here. Some of the common things that we've gone through as a core group. The $18 million that there was a group that did not agree we should have approved for the forum from our redevelopment agency. That happened in a similar fashion. We did approve it because we felt it was the right decision for the city, and lo and behold, it has been. The water hike, which had not gone up in 10 years, while the same period a city like Los Angeles had gone up 70%. We took a group of comments similar to this. We still made that tough decision, which turned out to be the right decision for the city of Inglewood. The stadium vote, where we made the ultimate vote, I can tell you that there was just a large group of people that were against that we moved forward with that, which turned out to be great. The original approval for the Hollywood Park project, when the horse racing industry was stacking the room with folks that appeared to be from the city of Inglewood. We made that approval to the benefit of the city of Inglewood residents. And the original Walmart fight that we did, yeah, we were there. A couple of us were part of it. And I remember completely, had they won, we would not be having this conversation at all. we would be in a place where none of the folks that currently live outside of Inglewood that are here today would be here.
Twilight Zone.
Period. And here's the deal. You know, we've seen these. These are decisions we must make when we believe we are making the right decision for the city of Inglewood, which we feel we are. The lack of housing, low-income housing throughout our city, I can tell you it is not unique to the city of Inglewood. This is something the city of Los Angeles is going through, the entire LA County is going through, Northern California, Southern California, Central California. This is a discussion that needs to be had. It needs to be had throughout the state of California, and we share in that. We should be at that table. But we will not make decisions based on issues that belong to the statewide and make our decisions here based on that. We will do the best we can for our residents, and that includes moving forward in our developments if that's what it is. A gentleman said, part of our issue is to keep everyone informed. Absolutely right. If we had informed everybody, if we had had the opportunity as representatives to sit door to door inside each and every living room about what we were about to do and what our vision is for the city of Inglewood, I believe they would all be supportive. I believe that those are steps they would want us to take as their representatives. That's extremely important. You know, there's so much going on. I can tell you one thing. The city of Los Angeles, we are talking about how we are building a stadium and we have a basketball arena being contemplated. That is exactly and precisely what the city of Los Angeles was trying to get accomplished. They could not get it accomplished, okay? This is something that shows our success, not our failure. The appearance that the effect of these developments do not positively affect us today, not true. Our services have been embellished, but we were hurting so bad for so many years that our services were drawn down. Library hours, park services, senior citizen services were so far down that our improvements have brought them back up pretty much to where we need to be. And we'll start seeing further improvements as we go. So it's not true that those improvements have not been seen. Now, trying to get back to where we were is one of the things. We are growing so fast, but I want to share with you guys something. I'm a 40-year resident, thanks to my parents. When we first moved here, I was 6 years old. It's going on 7, I believe, 7 years old. And we moved from Venice, California, which was at the time, we were renters there. My parents were renting and could not afford, in the changing demographic of Venice, California, could not afford a home. They decided to move us here to Inglewood where they could afford. One of the best decisions they made in our lives. They say it. You know, we've all been raised with a great education and the work ethic like you wouldn't believe. My parents are now starting to see the property values of the people they left behind saw 40 years ago. Homeowners like my parents are not unique in this city. They are in grand numbers throughout the city, and they deserve this success. You know, one thing is for sure, you can take it out as a personal level and as a city level. We cannot stop explaining what we are doing and why we are doing it and how. But whenever somebody is against it, start to look at what their interest is. But the one thing we cannot start doing is apologizing for our success. So here we are. We're going to make a tough decision. And what an ENA is a discussion. And if it's right for the city of Inglewood, then that'll come out in the wash. So that's all I got, Mayor. Thank you.
I've been part of the city since 1972. Started in the police department. I'm in my 26th year of service, 9th year as a resident. 3 years before I started the police department, Jack Kent Cook opened the forum. I left to go to Santa Monica in 91. Came back in 2011 to a city that had the Lakers, the Kings, and the racetrack going. A city that was within 7 months on a straight line average of being bankrupt. So today, this discussion falls into the realm of, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I admire these attorneys that have brought this stuff here, because this is a hell of a lift, because what they have to do, they have to convince you, to convince us that we shouldn't even have the opportunity to even talk about bringing the NBA back to Inglewood for the second time. I'm gonna say this again, and I want you to look at that land there that sat like that for 25 and 30 years, generating no property taxes, generating no jobs, generating no anything. But we shouldn't even be able to even talk about doing something that no city our size I know of has ever done to get the return of the NBA after they left us once. Right after securing 2 NFL teams to the LA region for the first time in 22 years. Are you kidding me? So, where were these people when we were negotiating with MSG? Nobody had any problem with our transparency then. No, yes, Mr. Zambrano, you always have a problem, you're right. Except for Ms. Zambrano, nobody had a problem with us then. Where were they when we were securing the NFL? We had an initiative, we needed 8,000 signatures, we had 22,000 people sign it in 3 weeks. MSG is our friend. They did a great thing. They invested $100 million in the forum. We invested $18 million right along with them. And we helped them find parking for years. They're our friends. But right now we have a disagreement. But let me tell you the beautiful thing about being an attorney. Here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to know anything. You only have to put forward a hypothesis, because you don't have to testify to anything. Now, I heard the man say that we have a contractual agreement not to do what we're doing because of our contractual relationship with the forum. Ordinarily, when you have a contractual relationship with somebody and you're doing something that violates that contract, they don't come to council meetings, they don't go to the press, they go to court and get an injunction to stop you from what you're doing. That's what you usually do when you have a contract. But you see, if you just put that out there, well, then everybody does like they're telling me, well, hey, are you in trouble, Mayor? Did you do something wrong? No, we haven't done anything wrong. There is no prohibition from us exploring, seizing our destiny, and doing something no city has done, let alone a city of 9 square miles and 115,000 population. That we're here even discussing this is like being in the Twilight Zone. I want you to think about it. We're arguing over whether or not we're going to build another arena, employ probably 6,000 more people in construction work, and provide 500 or 600 more jobs for the community on that land that has looked just like that for 25 to 30 years. Are you kidding me? Now let's talk about transparency. I love that, because when someone can't really argue with the logic and the goodness of what you do, here's what they do. They say things like, and you're getting money. They disparage your character. And then they say there's a lack of transparency. As if you elect us to go and take a poll every time we make a big business decision. Do you know how many people, how many entities would want to stop this from happening? This is the transfer of wealth, people. And there are 2 things that men don't give up voluntarily, and that's money and power. And if you think people that make big things happen run around all the time and say, oh, we're getting ready to we're thinking about doing this, we're thinking about doing that, would you please do everything you can to cut it off at the knees? Because we're going to make a transfer of the economic wealth centers in this county. That's what's happening here, people. That's why we have people we've never seen here. Never seen here. Small businesses. That's all we've heard. We've heard a lot about that. That's why we engaged the Buxton Group. to do an analysis so we can support our small businesses, so that they can take advantage of the cars and people that will be coming to our area to provide opportunity sales for them. We want everyone to thrive here. We have a housing element. We do our best to provide for affordable housing. I think there's an affordable housing project that's coming up in Councilman Morales' district. It's going to open in September. Community benefits. The young lady didn't want to hear it. This city's infrastructure is being redeveloped, and recreational opportunities are being developed like never before in our history. And Councilman Morales and Councilman Franklin have been here longer than I have, and they can testify to that. And finally, I want everyone to understand this. We don't come on here on a Tuesday waiting to see how many people come to speak for or against something, and that's the way the decision's going to be made. That's craven and it's cowardly. You don't elect people to sit here and be worried about how much people yell at you, and then that's the way you make decisions. We make decisions, and our track record proves it, based upon what's best in the overall good of this city. And I would tell you that everywhere I go, in the city or out of the city, people applaud this city for what it's done and where we've come from and where we're going. So I'm going to tell you the opposition has a difficult task, because they have to convince you to run away from prosperity. There's no decision been made about anything. There's not even a project description yet. This is just an exclusive negotiations agreement to see what can happen. And for anyone to tell us and come up with all these reasons we can't even talk about it, you got to be kidding me. That I'm going to call for the vote.
Well, Mayor, make a move approval of amendment and reinstate exclusion and negotiation agreement.
That's all right.
Madam City Clerk.
Motion.
Thank you. Second, Morales. Okay, thank you. Council members Dotson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. And I have one more thing to say. When it comes to eminent domain, because I had someone say they want us to foreclose any discussion of eminent domain. We will not foreclose the use of any tool that has been provided to cities across this country for decades to make decisions that will bring about a better good for the residents here. But we do not intend, and we've made explicitly clear, because of all, we want everybody to understand there never was any intent to take any residential property or church properties. The ENA area was described as broad for a reason. This was a starting point. Now we're at another point. Recess this Inglewood City Council and reconvene the Inglewood Successor Agency.
A quorum is present.
CSA 2.
Staff report recommending approval of agreement with Men at Work, LA Concrete, Inc., to provide various services in support of the modernization and security improvements at the Locust Street parking structure located at 115 North Locust Street. Parking structure 2, successor agency bond funds.
Move approval. Second. Madam Clerk.
Successor agency members, Dotson. Padilla. Morales. Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. CSA 3.
Staff report recommending approval of amendment number 1 to agreement number 16-017 with AECom Technical Services, extending the term by 1 year and adjusting the total compensation by an additional $483,442 successor agency bond funds.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Successor agency members, Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. CSA 4.
Staff report recommending approval of an agreement with Kane, Balmer, and Berkman for broad-ranging legal advice, guidance, and representation to the City of Inglewood, Inglewood's successor agency to the former Inglewood Redevelopment Agency, and the Inglewood Parking Authority.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Successor agency members, Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. CSA 5.
Staff report recommending approval of an amended and restated exclusive negotiating agreement, ENA, by and among the city of Inglewood as successor agency to the Inglewood Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, the Inglewood Parking Authority, and Murphy's Bowl LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, developer, providing for an exclusive negotiating period by the parties for the potential construction of a National Basketball Association arena and related development in the city of Inglewood within the area of the city of Inglewood generally depicted in the ENA and described as follows: Century Boulevard on the north, Prairie Avenue on the west, along with two parcels located to the west of Prairie Avenue depicted as the approximately 2.03 acre parcel and approximately 3.12 acre parcel as shown on the ENA Exhibit A, the study area site map, then mid-block of West 102nd Street toward West 103rd Street and the south to South Doty Avenue, and then west of 102nd Street on the south to Yukon Avenue and Yukon Avenue on the east.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam City Clerk?
Successor agency members, Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. We'll adjourn the English Successor Agency and reconvene the Inglewood Parking Authority.
A quorum is present.
P1.
Staff report recommending approval of an agreement with Kane, Balmer, and Berkman for broad-ranging legal advice, guidance, and representation to the City of Inglewood, Inglewood's successor agency to the former Inglewood Development Agency, and the Inglewood Parking Authority.
Move approval.
Second.
Before we vote, so everybody knows, this is in 3 different contracts. This is the same contract,
It's
approved
the
by
sa-
3 different entities.
Got it.
All right. Okay, I was gonna go work for Kane Balmer. Madam City Clerk?
Parking Authority members, Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. We'll adjourn the Inglewood Parking Authority, reconvene the Inglewood Housing Authority.
We still,
No,
we have P2.
Oh, excuse me one second.
I mean, I appreciate you saving me, but,
Oh, P2. My bad. P2.
okay. Staff report recommending approval of an amended,
Well, let me just, we are not adjourning the Parking Authority. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're still in parking.
We're still in parking. yeah.
Correct. Staff report recommending approval of an amended and restated exclusive negotiating agreement, ENA, by and among the city of Inglewood as the successor agency to the Inglewood Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, the Inglewood Parking Authority, and Murphy's Bowl LLC, a Delaware limited liability company developer, providing for an exclusive negotiating period by the parties for the potential construction of a National Basketball Association arena and related development in the city of Inglewood within the area of the city of Inglewood generally depicted in the ENA and described as follows: Century Boulevard on the north, Prairie Avenue on the west, along with 2 parcels located to the west of Prairie Avenue depicted as the approximately 2.03 acre parcel and the approximately 3.12 acre parcel as shown on ENA Exhibit A, the study area site map, then mid-block on West 102nd Street toward West 103rd Street on the south to South Doty Avenue, and then West 102nd Street on the south to Yukon and Yukon Avenue on the east.
Move approval.
Second. Madam City Clerk.
Parking Authority members, Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Inglewood Parking Authority and reconvene the Housing Authority.
A quorum is present.
H2.
Approval of the minutes for the special meeting held on May 23rd, 2017.
Move approval.
Second. Madam Clerk.
Housing Authority members, Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Housing Authority, reconvene the Inglewood City Council.
A quorum is present.
CI1.
Initiative by Councilmember Padilla requesting approval of the city's sponsorship of the 4th Annual District 2 Picnic and Chili Cook-Off event to be held on Saturday, September 9th, 2017, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at North Park.
I can only support this if you designate this as a community benefit.
Move approval. Move approval.
Big time.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. Public comments. Any persons wish to address the City Council on any matter connected with city business not elsewhere considered may do so at this time.
Thank you, gentlemen, for today. We're not the city of Los Angeles. We're not the state of California. We're the city of Inglewood.
We're better than that. You're right.
Right now, we have a unique opportunity that other places don't have to really do something that no one else has been able to do. I walked with Alex Padilla, helped him get elected the first time. I supported George Dotson, walked in his district. I work in the city of Inglewood. I've done tons of great things for the city with community members. And I'm talking about the things I'm talking about because I'm one of those people who have the opportunity, who don't have the opportunity to stay right now as things look, right? I'm one of 3 families that you knocked on the door in my particular complex that are still there. The only reason why I'm still there is because we have a relationship with our owner that provides us the opportunity to do that. So the things we're talking about is not like arbitrary. It has nothing to do with anything else other than wanting to be here to be a part of the progress we help to bring about. So that's what we're asking for, man. That's all this is.
Alfonso Parker Jr., Vietnam veteran, 6667, conscious objector. My phone number is 323-842-336. We're speaking about dollars and cents since we're on that, and that's the hottest thing. I've been speaking for years since I've been in this community about a gold mine sitting in Inglewood. The veterans sent out there, veterans that fought in the wars, those that have never went overseas, stateside, with injuries. They have money coming from the government. You have not investigated, done a thing about it, check to see the income since you're doing all this research that could come from these soldiers that allow you to do what you do now. Their income would be had you stood behind them and supported them. You haven't done it. You've been listening to me. You haven't talked to me about a damn thing. Not even the shooting that happened on Inglewood with the police in Inglewood and Manchester. The only thing you mentioned, you got in front of it quick about the short, bald-headed black man with the hoodie.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
And
Mr. Parker.
you were so
Mr. Parker. Mr. Parker. No, Mr. Parker. No, sir. No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Parker. Yeah, I know. I know. I know.
I wanted to say that
a lot of logistics, linguistics games have been played and saying that, that particular parcel of land is not going to affect residents because people aren't living specifically on that land. But around that area, because of the arena that's there, people's rent is going to be increased. It's already being increased just because of its proximity to the arena and to the stadium. My rent has gone up. You're hearing testimony from other people whose rent has gone up. And unless we have a program that institutes citywide rent control to ensure that landlords are responsible and that people are able to have a rent that is affordable, we're not going to have people who are living there. So we actually have to acknowledge and address the fact that this is going to have an impact on people who are living in this neighborhood, mostly working class and low income people. So let's get straight to the point about that. That's why people are concerned about it. That's why I'm concerned about it. Rent control for Inglewood.
Once again, mayor, staff, council people, I just want to take the time to thank our police department. I was out on the streets the other day and I noticed the police have a ride-along with them. Now, I don't know if the public is aware of this, but for our homeless people that may have mental problems, the police have a person that rides along with them to identify before our police officers run up on someone. They actually have some help now, some people that have been trained to talk to these citizens in our community, to find out if indeed they are homeless and they can get them some help, or if they have some mental problems that could affect our community. So I just wanted to applaud you, the city, for making that first step, because a lot of people in LA County, they don't even know about this program. I feel safe in Inglewood. My family is safe here. Thank you guys. Keep the great work up.
My name is still Diane Zambrano. I'm still a resident of this community, and no matter how many times you try to mischaracterize me and the others who stand up for library hours, park and recreation services, and no, we don't have 3 libraries open, most of the people of this community do know that we love and care about this community. We're the ones who suggested maybe you shouldn't create empty fields without something to put on it. So as you sit here and try to mischaracterize, good luck with that. They've watched us, they know us, they know who we are.
Were you guys here when those were made empty fields?
When they were what?
When they made them empty fields, were you here?
Yeah, they had to make them empty fields. If you leave them up, they
right.
become homeless. There was even a fire on one. It was a
Ms.
danger.
Zambrano, please, you're not a councilman, so please don't do that.
There was no. That was the best thing we could do.
All right. So let's just have a brief discussion before we start, Mr. Agee. The reality was at that time, the sound insulation program gave cities money to do land acquisition to move people out of the flight path. Now, weren't people relocated, given sizable stipends to move and relocate?
Correct.
So they wouldn't be aircraft noise impacted?
That's correct.
And so the reality was is that land until now had no value, obviously, because no one wanted to buy it. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Agee.
I'm still the most proudest man in the beautiful city of Inglewood. I want to say something very serious. I want to thank the greatest police department in the United States of America, the greatest mayor and council in the United States of America. They say that black people and brown people cannot be successful. Look at the city of Inglewood. That's a lie. We're going to be #1 city in the United States, major capital of sports in the world. Keep on doing what you're doing. I just hope I'll be around to see it all finished. Thank you very much. Proud of
Mr. Agee.
Davis, 2nd District. Time to make enemies and annoy people. Continuously since January of 1988. I have 2 parcels of real estate, townhomes. Combined purchase, $275,000. Current value, approaching $800,000. I am a capitalist. Call me a pig, I don't care. And I'm prepared to sell it to anybody black who wants to buy it for market value, if we want to go there. Again, thank you. I will apologize to no one. Why? Why should I apologize for taking risks? If they had all been foreclosed on, I'd been kicked to the curb, none of these leftists and socialists calling for rent control and socialism would have given a rat's tail about me. Am I lying on anyone?
Now he didn't interrupt you, did he? You could talk to him outside, but not in here. All right, we're going to close public comment. Our city treasurer has a memorial to talk about right now.
Close the today's council meeting, and one of my very dearest friends. Her service is going to be held tomorrow, and her name is Gloria Jean Alston. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other council comments? Yes, sir.
Mayor, would you also close the meeting in honor of the founding pastor, Willie James Glenn of Second Mount Nebo Baptist Church?
Okay.
90 years old, longtime member of City of Inglewood since 1972. He would be dearly missed. His service is this coming Thursday. Thank you.
Okay. We'll close the meeting in the name of Gloria Jean Alston and the name of Willie James Glenn. We're adjourned.
Ron, how you doing? You made it back, huh?
Yes, I had to get it.
Yeah, we gotta get together and talk.